okusinga omuntu oyo alikolere Kenya obe Tanzania obe Rwanda ng'alese container ye. Singa naffe agezaako alabe engeri gyakakanyamu ku misolo egyo ensi tubeere nga ffenna tugitambuliramu feyale. Era ekibuuzo kye kimu kyenjagala kigende eri Mwami Kyagulanyi nti ensonga eyo singa abazze mu buyinza agenda gikolako atya ey'emisolo egyo ekanamye.
Wow, ebyo bye bimu ku bibuuzo ebyabalonzi wano mu district y'e Luweero, naye ensonga esinza okuvaayo ennyo ebadde ya misolo, kubanga bannansi weewaawo bandibanga banyigirizibwa nnyo olw'emisolo gye bagamba nti weewaawo yinza okuba nga tegiri fair enough eri abantu bonna. Njagala okukoma wano ate nkomewo gy'oli Paul Sonko ne mwannyinaze Shamie Nayiga musobole okuba nga mutwongereyo mu maaso n'enteekateeka eno. Nze Habati Kamoga nkyali wano mu district y'e Luweero.
Habati Kamoga ab'e Luweero mbawulidde bamaze nabo okuteekamu ebibuuzo byabwe bye bandyagadde ba presidential candidates bano be tulina olunaku olwaleero bye bagenda okubanga baddamu. Joram Paul Sonko.
From Luweero, now let's head to the northern side of this country. Rashula Did in Koboko, West Nile, to be precise, is also joining us. We want to hear from the people of Koboko, the people in West Nile. We need to know how is the situation there, how ready are they for the debate, and those that he has spoken to or those that he's going to be speaking to. Rashul, good evening. Thank you for joining us. What is the situation like where you are?
Maybe in the studio. Not far away from now, we shall be seeing the 7 presidential aspirants having debate right there in Mr. Hotel. And of course, away from the conversation in the CBD area of the country, that is Kampala, already people are anxious, they are waiting to listen to what these presidential candidates have for this particular nation as they continue to hunt for the vote ahead of 2026 general elections. Now, I'm currently standing in a district which is a tripartite, located at the border of Uganda, South Sudan, and Sierra Congo. And the challenges that the locals have presented are very unique. I want to sample some few to understand if they were given the opportunity to ask these presidential candidates what would be some of the hard and asked questions that they would raise before these presidential aspirants. But also when you look at these candidates, their manifestos, would it be accommodative to some of the issues affecting this particular jurisdiction where I'm reporting? Let me speak to a few of them. Habari ya jioni. Leo tunaenda angalia wale wanaowaeka kusimama kama president wanaenda kana debate. Tunataka jua nini kama watu wa Koboko. Mambo mnamtaka au ongezi yake kwa mambo na mtani.
Mfupi salama tuongee vya dinga suti hapo Koboko kuanzia kwa 1996 kwa yote support sana kwa kampeni ya NRM kwa jambo la NRM sana, lakini challenge yetu sasa kwa miaka hiyo mjalipita kwa namna leo nimeleta kwa tax imezikwa sana kwa magari hizi ya material wananunua, lakini wengine kwa boda wanakansi NRM sasa inaletea watu hivi kupatia watu mtungu kufanya kazi na government hiyo inapatia wasichana yufu na geuka kwa pato. Hiyo ndio kitu kwa NRM government imechukua watu vizuri, lakini sasa kwa wafanyakazi wa NRM hizi wamefanyisa government hiyo mbaya.
Hasa kama alikuwa anapatia kwa muda atauliza wa candidates wanaoweka kusimama hizo maswali hapo takana.
Swali yangu mko mtauliza kwa sababu nyuma huko walikuwa mzuri na watu. Sasa katikati anaanza kuwa mkali kwa watu sababu wana mistreat watu sababu aendelea polepole. Kwa hiyo bado iko mingi, vijana wamekomea. Vijana kama wana mistreat wana change party. Asante sana.
Let me sample more people here. Swahili English. Okay, so today we're seeing the presidential candidates having debate, and Koboko happens to be in Uganda. I know some of the challenges don't translate boundaries. What are some of the issues that you think these presidential candidates should be able to address during today's debate?
Thank you so much.
where we are as a learning what is getting
have to also work on us.
Your name?
My name is Joe.
Okay. This is what the people of Koboko are saying. Now, most of the issues that they have raised here concerns this particular road that connects Uganda to South Sudan. Oftentimes, there have been cases where they have landed into ambush, people have been killed, and others, their properties have always been robbed. So one of the issues that the locals here are raising, they are saying if they were given the opportunity to raise their questions, they would raise questions on issues of the instabilities along Uganda-South Sudan road. And also one of the issues they have raised here is that the economic and also some of the infrastructures are surrounding this particular jurisdiction. For now, Paulo, so unless you have another question, allow me to hand the room back to the studio. But of course, the people of Koboko are anxious. They want to see what these presidential candidates are going to say ahead of this 2026 general elections. Back to you in the studios.
Indeed, and the people of Koboko for giving us what they expect from the presidential candidates. Key on infrastructure is one thing that I'm going to be taking away from that. But away from Koboko, we're heading back to Mbara. Koslin Nakahira is joining us once more. This time round, she does have a few people from Mbara who want to speak to us and also tell us what they expect ahead of the presidential debate. Yes, good to have you back.
Jerome Paul Sonko, BRev, Ntv, I do watch you guys this evening. So when I was this is a presidential debate between our royal of Ntv of perspective. When that is drop abantu abawangalira mu town era njagala nsooke n'omukyala sembera ko katono mama kiki wandiyagadde omukulembeze bwe tugenda okyaza leero ba presidential candidates ayogere ku nsonga kigwenza omukyala nze ng'omukyala ow'embalala endagala omukulembeze most especially Mr. President Museveni atukolere amalwaliro ateekemu eddagala kubanga abakyala bazaalira wansi ebitanda tebalina bitanda kale embeera y'amagayode nayo mbeera mbi nnyo. Okay, webale nnyo maama leka twogereko noono omusajja amanya nejobeera
ensonga esinga obukulu I pose my question to the President of Uganda, Mr. Museveni. Ensonga zesinga okutambuza ng'ogamba abantu batuwa eddembe watuwa security. Ife ne affected is the opposite. Ife ne basala bisatu beva tusombeho obuduuka ebinafulamu batta abantu mu lunaku ebirala ekimu abadde mubulenaku batamba kikubapeva buli olukya iyabovide twewuuza sekikyo kigamba eyeeruwa
naye ansiza nnyo kafuna n'omusajja ayambadde ekyaffe ye Uganda amanya n'ekyobeera
amayambikakadekyobosikopangiramukakusino kyakatete ayenga mumbaale kyobuzibeera
olwo okiki wandiyakadde okulaba ng'omukulembeze betugenda okyaza presidential candidates ogere ku kinsonga kyebaluma muyabeekatete
ekyokera ddala nze ng'omunaleta muna Uganda nayagadde kisooka ddala bagogere tutte amakubo mabi nnyo ate nga ebitundu byaffe okulaakulana alina okuba alina amakubo malungi nga transport nga wagurubiza ate ekirala ekyokubiri amasanyalaze muditesi okufa ya taking over umeme tetuwa amasanyalaze nga presitebo amasanyalaze gavaavaako kitegeeza bizinesi zaffe industries ezijja kukola ki okulaakulana
webale nnyo sebo bafuna n'omuzeeyi amanya n'ekyobeera era olowooza eno debate oyagala boogere ku ki bano ba presidential candidates
amanya nze kusaba Emmanuel ekisingamye okuluma okulaba abakulembeze oba omukulembeze owange Yoweri Kaguta Museveni atugamba nti obwavu yabukoba ate nendaba nga bweyongera obwavu bwayitiridde n'obubi buleetera obwavu
kibuuzo ki kyolina presidential candidates
anyeredde pulezidenti agendako amanye okubwalisa obwavu babubwalisa batya asindike ffe mu baavu agende mu palamenti akikirira abaavu si baana balina sente nti bagenda kukiikirira tunonyeyo omwavu agenda akikirira abaavu
toyansiza nnyo muzeeyi kafune sekonko amanya nekyobeera se
amanya amusenya Bashiru era wano Kati Central kibuzo kyange kigerawo omukulembeze nze mpangalira mu getto eno wansi mu kisenge naye mpulira nti yasindika seereza getto ningaffe awo wansi tuzirabanga lusumbadde mbuleseewo amanya gange bapfadde luwango lwezi empangalidde mu tawuni y'Embala naye nze tutakwesira ekintu ky'amasannyalaze ekyo gavumenti ageetwala yagajja ku bumeme negateeka ku gavumenti banaye mbadde nsaba ffe tuna bizinensi zaffe zifa ffe tuba tusuubuzi b'amata amata yaleka fridi gafa byonna bifa ne biggwawo kyembadde ngamba pulezidenti w'eggwanga kati batumya pumira amasannyalaze ate nga gaffe
webale nnyo bawulidde batuuze b'Embarara City nga bwe nakugambye gwe ali mu tulaba akawungezi k'olwaleero tibeesunze okulaba bano bakozesa candidates bagenda kwogera ki ku nsonga zaabwe owulidde ensonga ze boogerako mugula amasannyalaze zembi waliwo amalwaliro amabi ate baagala n'omukulembeze akole nnyo okulaba nti balwanyisa ekisibi ky'obwavu ekiri mu kwafekitinga abantu abawanga byakulagula ka ndire gwe jorampo osongo
Agasiri Nakahira in Mbarara, giving us that update from the people of Mbarara, what they expect from the presidential debate 2025. Now, from Western Uganda, let's head to Serere district in the eastern part of Uganda. Kenneth Odere also does join us. We need to hear from him and the people in Serere what they are expecting from the presidential debate of 2025 here at the Kampala Serena Conference Center. Kenneth, good evening. You're live on NTV.
Good evening to you, so far the studio and all our viewers from wherever you are. My name is Odele Kenneth here in Soroti City with the team of political analysts, civil society who are all watching now and expecting to see what transpires in the debate, presidential debate for 2026 election. I would like to start with the, from my right, I would like to start with Mr. Omiak. So, Mr. Omiak, quickly tell us what are your expectations in this debate, and also what do you expect the coming president to give us?
Good evening, viewers. My name is Andrew Joseph Omiak of Uganda People's Congress. I am a candidate for Ngariam County Member of Parliament. I am happy.
Just go to your point, sir.
My expectation is that I expect maturity in the debate. I expect the presidential candidates to highlight their manifestos, because they have to go and explain their manifestos. What do they want to do for Ugandans? We want to listen to them and we want to gauge them using their manifestos, because I believe that is a only manifesto. If Ugandans are subjected to this manifesto, they look at it, then they say, okay.
Thank you very much. I've heard from you. Next is Mr. William Okoit. Mr. William Okoit is an entrepreneur and a member, I think, of NO. What are your expectations?
You confirm that I'm Don George. The business person who is in the sector of trade. I think for me, my expectation from the candidates who are offering the leadership of this country at the level of presidency is how best each one of them is going to highlight the vicious circle of how they are going to make business cheaper so that people are able to afford life. Because as we speak right now, the health expense, the transportation expense, and the your point is very important.
Thank you very much. And the civil society, what are your expectations to represent the civil society in this region?
Yeah, my name is Benson Chen, Public Affairs Center. I have two strong expectations. One is I expect the presidential candidates to bring out policy shifts at the presidential level to govern and direct and serve the country through a policy framework. I expect the policy shift. We have been around for 40 years. We know which policies have not worked, which ones have worked. Expect them in regard to health, in regard to education, in regard to investment, in regard to trade. Then I also expect them to address regional specific issues for them.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And next to me is the Vice President of BRev, so Mr. Pascal Amuria. What are your expectations?
First of all, it's important to note that we do not present a presidential candidate, but we have a minimum agenda. As the Democratic Front, I'm also a candidate here for Soroti Division and I'm the flag bearer for the Democratic Front.
My expectation in this debate is to assess what reforms that the presidential candidates are going to discuss. And the reforms in different sectors, in education, in health, and others. But I also expect that we discuss regional issues. One of the key issues is the security of our children in school. We have had shootings in Wara. We have had Jozan. Issues, children are at risk in schools. What police said, how are we going to secure our schools? How are we going to have a conversation around the police ship? For example, UP is not working for us. That's as I conclude. UP is not working for us as a region. We need a shift that government takes over the upper hand. And so many
and finally, we talk to Orego. So what are your expectations, Mr.
My expectations in this presidential debate is about the youth. What are these presidential candidates planning about the youth? Because we have very many youth who are unemployed. We have the tax reforms. That is what we expect in this presidential debate. We want to know what are they planning for us, and especially the young people, because the young people are the majority, and most of them are unemployed. What are they planning? We have a lot of land that need to be built factories. This would help us get employed.
Okay, thank you very much, and all my participants here, thank you for giving us time, and thank you all our viewers for your time, and back to you, so at the studio, I'm Entebbe, live here in Soroti City.
Odere live from Soroti City. Thank you very much for giving us that particular update, and also to your comrades there in Soroti for sharing with us what they expect from the presidential debate that is coming up in less than an hour from now. Now, away from that, let me head back to Shamim here. Shamim, what do you have for us? Many people have been sharing their ideas.
Owulidde abantu bonna bakorespondenti baffe bebogeddeko nabo balina ekizibu kimu, ebizibu bifaanagana, ebyobulamu bibi, abasinga bacomplaininga tebalina mirimu, enguudo, security, ebyokwerinda. So abagenda okukubaganya ebirowoozo nkakasa bino babiwulidde era bagenda kubiddamu nga bannayuganda bwe basuubira. Kale ndowooza katugende ekibuli eno twegatte ku Raymond Tamale abaayo batubuulire nabo kye basuubira mu kukubaganya ebirowoozo kw'abeesimbyewo ku ntebe ennene ey'eggwanga.
Webale nnyo Shamim Webale nnyo Shamim Nayigana mwina bataddeko NTV akawungeezi ne Spark TV mukadde kano. Amanya gange kama koogera nze Raymond Tamale era nga tuli kibuli abantu bazimbe dda wano akayumba omukwaso wange bifanzi nga kulaga abantu abali wano. Ebirowoozo bya bibaga okuwa leero mu debate tulina leero ku NTV bagamba nti NTV mwaluddewo nnyo okutuuka singa mwatuse ku saa 11 netandikirawo era sigenda kulandaga katandikirawo wano twaga kutegeera abantu bekibalowooza abakulembeze ababeesimbyewo ku mutendera gwa president kye balina okusoosowaza oba oliawo balabe Uganda gye beeyagaliramu era gye basobola okusanyukiramu. Katandike n'omukyalo ono mama amanyago nabiki bye baga abasoosowaze bano abeesimbyewo ku mutendera gwa president.
Amanya gange bampita Nakimuli Aisha. Kakati nze kye mbadde nteesaako mbadde nteesa ku byenjigiriza PLE ya jam 1997 naye otebeeza we yajjira si kye kimu nakati nga waatuuse osanga amasomero ga gavumenti ng'okusoma kwabwe si kulungi nga luli kati those days bayitanga ba government inspectors nga bajja mu bibiina ne bakebera basomesa ebya health biri bitya abaana balya somesa mwali mu class nga tuleyo mabega naye kati tebakyajja abaana bali eyo kati okezanga strike bwajja yabasomesa month of September October tebeeza wana PLE bagenda kukola batya aba P7 bakoze ebiki abasomesa abadde mu strike abaana tebabadde tebasoma ate nga bali mu private schools babadde basoma kitegeeza gwezi zinagenda okudda nga abana ababavu bakoze bubi ate bali nga basomye bulungi nekyo abasomesa bera bagamba we don't mind oba tebasoma be bamanyi abali mu government bagamba ebyenjigiriza ebyo president addako ateeka okulaba nti abirongoosa tuddeyo nga bwe twatandikira mu 1997 abaana baffe basobole okompitinga n'abaana ababagagga.
Ensonga ya byanjigiriza seba amanyago na biki byowooza birina okusoosowazibwa abeesimbyewo kwa president.
Amanya gange nzengede Isaac okuva ndi mutuuze wa kibuli wano ne ensonga yange eri ku byantambula naddala kati nganze ndi musajja musuubuzi tusobola obumondo okuva e Kenya okutuuka e Kampala naye oluguudo lwa Jinja Road olwo oleeta emmotoka n'ogituusa mu katale gy'otundira obummonde nga jamu omazeemu essaawa 3 nze mbadde nteesa nti gavumenti omukulembeze yenna najja ku buyinza asooka akola oluguudo olwo lusinga okuleeta ebyenkulaakulana mu Uganda wano kuba ebyamaguzi ebiva e Kenya okuyingira eno e Uganda biba bingi so ze mbadde nkubiriza nti omukulembeze yenna anaabazze ati atukolere ku luguudo olwo kuba abantu bangi abatasobola kwogera naye nze kunze leero wano ekibuli mbakikkiridde ate n'ebyenjigiriza byonna n'ebyobulamu malwaliro baseeyo eddagala n'abasawo bongereko malwaliro aga private
mama amanya go nakyo agabasosowaze
amanya gange bampita Nakisuyi Harriet nze ekyenjogerako ekisinga olutulugunyanga abalala tuli bakozi tunoonya emirimu mu kampuni naye kyensaba omukulembeze yena anaaba mu mukulembeze ng'ayiseemu kyensaba atuyambe bannange tulina obutenkanya kubanga ogenda ku mulimo edda nga osaba omulimu osangayo buli kabira naye saawa zino amazima ogenda buli mu ofisi gy'ogenda osangamu kabira etya emu emirimu negikusobera buli wanoogenda tosangawooko muntu yenna kyembadde nsaba omukulembeze yenna anaabeera mu bukulembeze atuyambe ateekewo obwenkanya buli omu kabira ne kabira zonna babalansinge nga bw'oba ogenda nti oba omudaama nze ndi mudaama bateekewoko omudaama omuganda bateekeko mu ofisi era omunyankola abeerewo omunyarwanda abeerewo mulugwala omuki ekintu ekyo kitumenya nze kyensaba omukulembeze yenna neyanza
ensonga ya bwenkanya sebo amanya gona kikyolowooza
amanya n'eddoboozi bampita MC Fish okuva ekibuli ensonga zange inanga 3 esookera ddala nvuga ne ku boda esinga otumafa ababoda e Kampala waneeno biki mu kusookera ddala weza gye jajja ku miliyoni bajaji ejja ku miliyoni 2 naye wati naawo kati bajaji eri ku miliyoni 5 n'emitwalo 9 netubuuza gavumenti yaffe gavumenti yaffe gwe omusolo gwasooka mu kusooka gwe bajja ku bajaji miliyoni 2 nga omuntu wa wansi asobola okugula kapichako nene yebiza n'omukyalo ali mu kyalo nagetuusaako naye saawa zino bajaji ogiraba eri ku miliyoni 5 bagikolera ku looni n'ogivuga miliyoni 12 oluusi bagenda bana kuggwayo ne bagikusikako n'ekirala n'amasomero mu byalo wano jesi muri Kampala n'olukawukka kubanze ni musajja w'ebuyukwe obuyukwe eyo waliyo ekyalo bakiyita bubiro okubira ddala eyo enkombwe omwana atambula okuva no nga olaba ekibuli naye ng'asomera kawempe kitegeera naye nga eyo gundi buyukwe disitulikiti eri ababaka okiwulira naye nga atambuza ebigere omwana atuuka akoze eki atuuka akooye kyokka omwana oyo gwolaba akopiringa n'omwana n'owe Kampala naye nga ebbanga lyetumaze bubiro nga gyolaba bubiro eyo buyukwe disitulikiti mubiro tebalina amasomero ga sekendule nga omwana atambula ava wano kibuli paka nga kawempe naye n'osanga omwana nga byasomye mu kibiina n'agezaako naye nga tebikola ki tebijja ekyo kibola ofundikira ngaomwana mu kyalo bafunye embuto olw'ensonga batamula ne bakola ki ne bakoowa n'ekirala kyesaba gavumenti eddako fe abavubuka bino byokero kumakyo tulaga nti nomuntu w'emitwalo 5 twakubira kampeyini okitegeera mutwale nga tuli bubi tetugenda tuyamba omba avuga boda mugere ku makya musala amafuta mugateko ku 2,500 omweleka ku 2,500 onawata mpate mitwalo jeje 5 ojirawo omwezi kijja kwa kikola ki kinyamba nti wena ntimye mu lita 2,500 nembisevinga njasigaza meka 2,500 enabisevinga omwezi mulamba nampeze emitwalo nga 7 chuya abavubuka yetwaga si atuka kumanya lugendo ku campaign nga mabakolomeza mu londe kisigala nga tuli mu mbeera ki wajija ku emyaka 5 sigala nga mukozi ekimwe mugenze mukomewo ale mutugabe abavubuka mutukole gali mwale simageto bichi siba mwade emitwalo 10 emitwalo 2 mutugabe fe tunywe enjaga tunywe omwenge mutoke mweye embeera mulamu tuwagire tu government yeriko tuwagire government tuli bubi bannaye mwete mukiraba wabanyo bajasebo nekirala baisa ko kyakimu nze ni musajja webu tulina omwalo gwaffe tulina ogw'ekindi tulina ogw'essenyi nyaga amakuba gavako omusolo muki muyitirivu oba ovudde kindi omusolo oguvaayo obuvuma district meka biri kuliko ekindi ey'ebuvuma oba obuva ebuvuma oyita kiyindi era tubasaba gavumenti redi ekkubo batuyire kolansi likonekitinge kuli tekasi bakola kindi bakakola nekyala waliwo n'omala ogw'essenyi yakunyonyola ndi ebituma abalaka boogereko taata
amanya nze Juma Muzeema Wazimwa ku nsonga yange gye njagala okwogerako ddembe ly'obuntu ensonga eno etukubaganyizza nnyo ebirowoozo ku mbeera eno eriwo kati bawamba abantu kakati ba presidential candidate babakkiriza okubeera nti nno bagenda banoonya obululu mu balonzi ogenda okwesanga nga abakulembeze abalala bavuganya gavumenti eriko ssaawa zino bwe batuuka mu bitundu ebirala bagamba nti nno baliwo mu bukyamu nga nno poliisi yebayambako okubeera nti nno bakola ki babagobaganya okubeera nti nno batuuka ku muntu wa bulijjo okunnyonnyoka ensonga zo ze baba baleese mu byalo oba mu bitundu nga bino ebya Kibuli. Kyetusaba nti nno okuwamba abantu baba batulugunya abantu n'eddembe ly'omuntu baba bamaze okukola ki okubajjako. Kye tusaba nti no ne kooti zino abantu bano baba baleese mu kooti okubawa beyiro bazibawe baddeyo mu bantu nabo balina famire ezaabwe babeere nga bazirabirira okusinga okubeera nti n'abantu okugenda okuwagira omukulembeze oba okugenda kulaale alina kukwatibwa bamuwambe then bamutwale mu kooti amale emyaka 2 mwaka mulamba nga aleeteddwa mu kooti oba nga bamumye beyiro. Ekyo kyonna kitulugagiziba omuntu era kituleetera ku mbeera okubeera nti nno naye tuba twogera ku gavumenti eno eriwo ebirungi byeberiwuko nti no bagamba nti no baprotectinga the gains kiba kitukola ki kitumalamu amaanyi okuvumaganya gavumenti ezaaliko nokomparinga ne gavumenti eno eriko kyekyo.
Senior citizen sembera taata kimanyi nti oludde ku ggwanga lino bweyagala kyensonga ki gy'oyagala abasimbyewo basoosowaze naddala ku myaka egyoliko tulina wano mu kamera
tunule mu kamera
amanya taata kakwatire
amanya aganze bukenya yahaya kye nalisabye gavumenti obutawanvu yanyo byayo abesimbyewo bonna buli ayogera ku kyanguudo mazzi masomero naye teboogera ku kyakusala misolo ekyononya eggwanga misolo okubeera waggulu singa buli kimu kikka wansi emisolo negikka eggwanga lijja kutambula bulungi. Ffe twakulya buli kimu kyali wansi nga gavumenti yegerekana n'amayumba mwe tusula yegereka ennyama gye tugula naye kati buli omu ennyumba alamulazize ennyama buli omu alamula kiro yiye ate ng'omusaala gwe bawa abantu mutono nnyo etunone mu mafactory g'abachina n'agabaki omwana akolera emitwalo 14 naye ng'ennyumba eri mu mitwalo 2 obulamu anaabubeezaawo atya mu nsi. Nalisabye gavumenti kyokka ekitunulemu tweyanziza nnyo
sebo amanya nakiraga abasoosowaze
amanya yenze munakibuli wano era nga nze kyenjagala okwogerako kiri ekintu kimu mba njagala kwogera ku kintu ky'abagwira baddeyo mu nsi zaabwe omunauganda waali asigaze emirembe gy'abaaliko kati ng'omuchina ebintu byakoze hano mu Uganda nze ndaba nti no amaze ku munauganda emirembe gwegenda kawo mu kibuga olaba abasajja engeri gye balimu kale kyova olaba nkugamba nti no abagwira baddeyo mu nsi zaabwe n'omunauganda asigale mu nsi ye.
Nsonga kiyaga basoosowaze sebo amanya gona ngina kukwatya sebo
amanya gange nze Lubajja Edward. Ensonga esooka nsonga ya license nti wano mu Uganda obuzibu bwe tulina weesanga omwana agenze wali mu kampuni n'afuna bajaji bamugamba mitwalo miliyoni 1 okubanga afuna gundi biki eyo naye weesanga nti buli wiiki omwana bamutaddeko embeera kubeera nga asasula mitwalo 11 buli wiiki ekibanga ekintu ekizibu nnyo. License waffe kitumenya nti weesanga baleeta abantu bawamanya gaabwe nibagamba nti Katonda ye Edward ye investor naye nga muntu mulala yataddemu. Ekintu ekyokubiri education yaffe weesanga nti kati primary schools weesanga bagyonoonye ne secondary schools kituluma nnyo kubanga mu Uganda muno baagala nitubeere nga tuli bannaku bantu abatategerekeka kitya weesanga makoleji agaaliwo kati nga wano Shimoni yeyali koleji esinga wano mu Kampala nga y'amaanyi nnyo naye kati saa zino bagisaanyawo kati teriiwo balundirawo nankoko. Ekintu ekituluma nnyo nti education yaffe baba bagyonoonye omunauganda aba talina ddembe ekyo nkyogera nga sitya. Ekintu ekirala wano ogenda ku boda Kenya boundaries zaffe batuwonyawonya nnyo weesanga omwana nga munauganda ng'alina epoli ng'alina emmundu naye waakulaba ng'oli munauganda akutulugunya nnyo nakugamba kintu kidogo okufulumamu eri okugenda eri e Kenya naye weesanga omuntu nga si munauganda watuuka wali ku boda okusala okudda eri kiba kyangu. Kituluma nnyo nti muffe nga bana citizen ab'e Uganda naffe twetaganya eddembe twetaga justice babeere nga batuwulira mu Uganda.
Seka salamu alaikum. Nsonga gyagala abesimbyewo basoosowaze abesimbyewo ku bukulembeze bw'eggwanga
abesimbyewo ku bukulembeze amanya gange nze Hassan Sowari nga ndi mutuuze w'ekibuli. Abesimbyewo abantu 8 sinawulirayoko ku muntu ayogera ku byanjigiriza n'amalwaliro. Amalwaliro gafuuse amalwaliro tuuka mu ddwaliro wallahi nga tosobola kwejjanjaba. Nze nkuze okutuuka wano nga teriyo ddwaliro lya muntu, kintu ekiyitibwa eddwaliro libeera lya gavumenti neribeera essomero libeera lya gavumenti, naye ku ssaawa yakakati omuntu ayina essomero erirye ku bubwe naregulating amateeka agage byebimu ebireetedde okubeera nti omuntu atayina nnyingiza emala tasobola kuweerera mwana we. Bw'ogenda mu gundi mu malwaliro twayinanga amalwaliro ng'ogenda bugenzi. Mu baana abakuze kati ku ssaawa zino bw'obuuzaayo ku mwana yali afunyeko ku kitabo eky'obwereere takyaliyo. Edda twayinanga obutabo bwaffe obwa primary education, byonna byakola ki? Byonna byavaawo. Kati tuli mu byanfuna naye ng'ate ne bigasiza nnyo bantu.
Sebo amanya gona kibaga basosowaze.
Adwiga Yusuf Kansala Tubbi ebintu bingi nnyo byenjagala basosowaze mu kitundu kyange nga Sibuli Kansala LCC bingi betulakinga ng'abatuuze
beesimbyewo 8 kibaga basosowaze
president beesimbyewo basosowaze ebyobulamu ng'amalwaliro amasomero nabyo ebintu bingi nnyo byenjagala bakoleko nga byetulakinga service tetutuukako twagala buli tubabeereremu n'abatubeereremu.
Okusoma omanyi ffe emyaka gyaffe manya gange gyofule naye njagala nnyo bateeze okusoma kuba kati ffe tetukyazaala twagala okuzaala kuba kati obalamu ozaala omwana n'asomawa sente tetuyina masomero fiizi taliwo bakyuseemu.
Amanya gose bano bikiyaga omupembeze yesimbewo amunana basosowaze
Mulondo Salim Waneshibuli Mulondo Salim kyenjagala president addaka kyasinga ddala okusosowaza kiri kintu eki kigambo ky'emirimu ano mu Kampala. Wano mu Kampala abavuka bangi tebalina mirimu, aye n'ekirala oli wafuna omulimu nti guguno ekirala talina ki nedda ekirala kiri nti wafuna omulimu oba olusi bamusasula emitwalo 2 naye omusolo nga gw'amaanyi kati emitwalo 2 egyo wagigattagattamu oba nagibalabalamu nti gikola ki emitwalo 2 nti gimuyisaawo emitwalo 2 egyo emisolo agenda okujjukira nga buli kimu bakyongezza naye sente zabadde afuna ku musaala ziba zongezebwa oba ziba zikendeeza.
Twasembayo taata twogeremu kikyagala eyesimbyewo asosowaze
amanya gawe bampita Bosa Franka ekisookazi njagala byabulamu obulamu abasawo njagala babongeze sente kuba basusse okubba amalagala. Gavumenti eteekamu sente mu malagala naye osanga mu ddwaliro temuli ddagala era tujja kwawalamu nga amalwaliro galimu amalagala. Webalina ssebo
tetugenda kusukka waawo bano badde batuuze beno Kibuli nga ku dipo era nga badde bakuwulira ki kye balowooza abakulembeze abeesimbyewo 8 kye balina okusoosowaza kuba baagala gavumenti bagyeyagaliremu n'ekitali ekyo byonna ebyogeddwa abantu beno si bya mukutu nga Ntv byabantu sekinoomu era kankuze mu studio erishami munayiga ne Joram Paul Sonko bakutwale mu maaso naye nga olunaku mulindwa lwaleero era nga abakulembeze bano abeesimbyewo ku mutendera gwa pulezidenti bagenda kubaganya ebirowoozo babulire ki bannayuganda kibagenda okusoosowaza kibaagala bannayuganda kibaga babalondereko bamuwe akalulu oli agambe nti akalulu kange nakawoono era nga njagala asosowaze ensonga eno yaye babulamu byanguudo sigenda kusukka waawo Raymond Chamale kakuze mu studio.
Chamale has been in Kibuli discussing and sharing where people have been discussing and sharing opinions on what they expect from the presidential debate and what the presidential candidates should share as the debate is coming up in the next 30 minutes. But before that, I do have a guest in studio. We shall be having a conversation to the build-up of the presidential debate after these commercial messages. Stick around.
UG Sound Online Radio is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission. UG Sound Online Radio is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
This is UG Sound, the hottest internet radio. Yomujja yogerako.
UG Sound Online Radio is regulated by Uganda Communications Commission.
This is UG Sound, the hottest internet radio. Yomujja yogerako.
Katikola bu video bunyuma n'ebifaananyi ku mutindo gw'ekika kya waggulu bikuyamba okwongera okusikiriza bakasitoma abo. Weeyunge ku kibanja kya business ne bakasitoma nga bayungiddwa wamu ku TechServe. Mwate obuwanguzi bw'oyita nabwo. Tolinda. Downloadinga kati app ya TechServe oba otukyalire ku mutimbagano gwa techserve.com otandike. Awamu katukulaakulanye bizinesi yo. TechServe y'enkola yokka mwe tutumbulira obuwanguzi. Okumanya ebisingawo tukyalire ku mitimbagano gyaffe omuli #TechServe, #MarketYourBusiness. Ku TikTok tuliko nga TechServe, YouTube channel TechServe, Facebook TechServe, ate Telegram TechServe. Oba otusindikire email ku info@techserve.com. TechServe, your one-stop service hub. Olina obuweereza bwonna nga wandyagadde butuuke ku bakasitoma abo. Sisinkana TechServe munywanyi wo muweereza. Ng'okozesa TechServe osobola bulungi okutunda n'okutegeeza bakasitoma abo ku buweereza n'ebyamaguzi. Kati tweyungeko nga bw'olonda ku miwendo gyaffe egitakalubiriza ekituukana ne bizinesi yo. Katikola bu vidiyo obunyuma n'ebifaananyi ku mutindo gw'ekika ekya waggulu bikuyamba okwongera okusikiriza bakasitoma abo. Weeyunge ku kibanja kya bizinesi ne bakasitoma nga bayungiddwa wamu ku TechServe. Mwate obuwanguzi bw'oyita nabwo. Tolinda. Downloadinga kati app ya TechServe oba otukyalire ku mutimbagano gwa techserve.com otandike. Awamu katukulaakulanye bizinesi yo. TechServe y'enkola yokka mwe tutumbulira obuwanguzi. Okumanya ebisingawo tukyalire ku mitimbagano gyaffe omuli #TechServe, #MarketYourBusiness. Ku TikTok tuliko nga TechServe, YouTube channel TechServe, Facebook TechServe, ate Telegram TechServe. Oba otusindikire
Already kicked off here to the 2025 presidential debate that is coming to you live on Spark TV and NTV for those who are following us. And of course, the presidential candidates will be sharing different ideas, different solutions to problems that I will also mention. So it will be a debate of arguments, a debate of policies shared, and a debate of presenting manifestos to you Ugandans or to you, our dear viewer, who will be following us in the same regalia run. Before we went in for a break, that I do have a guest in studio, and we're going to be having a conversation as we build up to the big debate, the biggest event, the main event of the evening, or the main event of the hour. I do have Tolit Atia. Tolit is a political analyst. He does join us here as we have a build up to the presidential debate. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, Mr. Sonko, and good evening to the viewers. It is indeed a pleasure to be here for such an event of national importance.
Okay, and I would want to first of all take you back to 2016 briefly, when we had a presidential debate. Then we had a female on the team. Looking back at the fast forward 2025, we have a new debate, a different debate. What are your expectations from this? But also, what do you remember so well about the debate that was building up to the 2016 elections?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I must say that the 2016 presidential debates was phenomenal in many ways, because I think it was one of those events, if you looked at the election calendar of Uganda, that stood out as a unique event. You see, in times of electioneering like this, you would expect that there has been a conversation between, the different political protagonists and the citizens in different ways, particularly in the context of Uganda, where we are operating under multi-party dispensation. However, there is a but. Many observers have dared mention that although on paper, although within the Constitution, we boast and brag of a multi-party dispensation, and this is where, if I may just define it briefly, that there are multiple political parties, both in presence and in practice, operating within, a given polity. And we are talking about, in this case, Uganda, the state Uganda, that they have leverage to register whenever an organization or a group of people aspire to organize themselves politically, because that is within our Constitution, that they have the latitude to be able to open branches across the country, that they have a latitude to be able to organize as political parties and mobilize. So the but I'm talking about here is that this does not seem to be the case. We seem to have an agreed multi-party dispensation, but on paper. When it comes to practice, we have seen most of these political parties actually incumbent. It is only after the 2021 elections when we saw, I don't know whether you call them alliances or they are a process of co-opting, and I'm speaking in particular reference to the Democratic Party and the UPC that sort of formed alliance with the NRM, National Resistance Organization. So you find that for the rest, there has been difficulty in operating. Why am I emphasizing this point? You see, if we only have to wait in a democratic dispensation for the D-Day, like it has come now, or in 2016, that you wait for the crossing line, then you seem to see heightened activities. I really do not think that this can actually get into anything productive or significant. So the debate in 2016 simply enlisted the gap that exists. You know, people are yearning to interact with their leaders. If you looked, I'm sure your team or you did a lot of what did you call it? Summarized figures after that. I'm sure the following was massive. And the reason is that yes, there is that tacit contract between the leaders and the voter, and this interaction is expected. So when it does not come, then there's anxiety. So we seem to be operating in a democratic sphere where leaders and citizens, and that is if they are citizens anyway, because some researchers are arguing that there is also now a category of people known as subjects. Okay. So the need for that interaction is basically to ensure that the promised services or the promised programs are sort of revisited. Because you see, if I gave you a tacit promise and said, look, Sonko, on Thursday at 4, I'll have this delivered. And Thursday 4 comes and goes by, and it's not delivered, you'll be curious. You'd want to call and ask what happened. You'd be expecting some communication from my side. So democracy is a kind of relationship of, I don't want to only call it, actually I don't need to call it give and take. It should be a give and take, but within a certain spectrum. And that spectrum is that you sell your program to me, I buy into it, I give you a vote. I then expect that the structure you are going to put or the framework of operation will allow that interaction between me and you, that citizen agency. And I think so far the challenge is that that agency has been curtailed in so many ways.
Let's look at it from this perspective, though. In your view, how significant is a presidential debate as we head into the general elections? Because these are conversations, really, that every person wants to have. Let's look at the significance. From your point of view, how important is such a stage in the build-up to the general elections next year?
Now, I think it is very important, and for me, I think it is very important because it distinguishes itself from, you know, the everyday characteristic sloganeering, color raising, you know, the veiled promises that we see in rallies. Because this is a controlled atmosphere. And more importantly, today in this technological age, people are busy doing things. People are busy actually with survival. So when they have an opportunity, whether on their phone or in front of a screen, they would want to sit and listen. Because up to now, I'm telling you, by the way, if out of every 10 Ugandans, if you met them and asked them to name just 4 of these candidates, in many ways. So, and today the media, by the way, you see, the media is key. The media sets, the media with today's globalization, it has the ability to set an agenda. So today, listening to this gentleman speak in a controlled atmosphere and speak to the world, because they are not only speaking to Ugandans. You know, it's so easy to go to Maogola or wherever, or Palabek, you know, out there in the north, and make veiled promises. But here, you'll be reminded that you're speaking to audiences who actually have been following these events. Yep. They're able to scrutinize. You are speaking through the media, so tomorrow, the media is going to be able, you know, to make some scrutinies. Okay. Tomorrow, the media will be making summaries of your key points. But also the other thing is that, you know, the whole flavor of democracy is sort of grounded in this philosophy. Because this is, other than the kind of war atmosphere we see, you know, with mambas and all these things, and war gear that ordinarily you shouldn't see in politicking. This for once, because you see, images are important in emotional articulation. True. So if I'm seated at the comfort, whichever way, my maybe not very expensive chair or couch, relaxed after a bath and something like this, I know something important is being delivered. And I'm able then to think about the choices that these gentlemen are making. And like, you know, I know the feminists must be up in arms. It should be probably the ladies and gentlemen, but this time, these gentlemen. So, because it is important that we should listen through these policy thinkings that these candidates are putting across. We need to look at the ideologies. We need to look at the policy choices and then be able to make a decision. So for me, the media has become another conjoint front that we need to live with as society today, as modern society. And I think it is important. So for me, it's a very welcome idea, and I would not be surprised that actually people are very keen.
Okay. And in your parting shots, Talit, I want to look at the expectations of the Ugandans. Now, this is from a general perspective. Are they realistic as we head to the general elections come January 2026?
I will start with myself. I think I'm fairly disappointed with what I have listened from the candidates so far.
Okay.
Because a summation of what has been going on, listening to all the candidates, I've tried to follow all of them. Listening to all the candidates, you seem to get this picture of promise being made. I think Sonko, and I'm not being harsh to the NRM, and particularly the president, his catchphrase says one thing. He's talking about consolidating gains, but at the same time, literally he has opened up the can. He is making promise after promise. I don't think the NRMO and President Museveni should be making promises now. After 40 years, what we expect is to hear them talk about some really fine and refined models. Because this has been a theater of experiments. You know, if you look at the socioeconomic policy projects, I don't think there is anybody who can cleverly remember all the acronyms, from Bonaba Gagawale to I don't know what, now PDM and all that. And for me, what is even more disappointing is that his opponents, and some seasoned people like the good General Mugisha Muntu, whom as a person I have a lot of respect for, people like the president of the National Unity Party, Bobby Wine. He ran in 2021, he's running again. All these people, and even the rest of them, have been lured, and unfortunately, unwittingly, into this whole situation of continuing to make promises. And when you listen to these promises, then you realize that actually the policies that have been put across in the many years have faced a lot of challenges. Because honestly, up to now, there are areas that don't have water, running water. There are areas that don't have electricity. And we are not talking about so far to reach places. Look at a country like Russia. If you look at a place like Siberia, where is it? Uganda is just about 540 km square. Why would a place like West Nile, up to today, not have electricity? Just the other day, they were putting West Nile on the main grid. Look at Busoga. The sugarcane project has miserably collapsed. And now, that place has been thrown into a frenzy of poverty and panic. Look at Acholi. The transitional process collapsed. The other day, it was just confirmed. Actually, this region is one of the poorest, and even after war. So you can imagine, you had a war, and now you're faced with poverty. So with the retrospect, the question would be, are these policies working? Look at Karamoja. They have sunk in thousands of US dollars, but nothing tangible. So what we would expect to hear now are really not promises. We want to ask ourselves, from prototype, how do you scale up? How do you scale out? We should be expecting some models. For me as a policy researcher, I know that policies that work are policies that speak to themselves.
True.
I will give you very basic examples. We had the Nachivubo channel saga.
Yeah.
The other day
just recently.
Yeah, just recently. Listen to all the bureaucrats. KCC is saying we did not give permission.
But the building is being, whatever is being constructed is within the city.
NEMA is saying we warned. We just warned.
So there is no practical
answer
to that.
I don't know who approves the plans. So government agencies are working in a silo. You know, nobody is talking to the other. I think the NRM has been out here so long that to its advantage, it should have crafted a way out. You know, we have embraced the liberal market, and there's nothing wrong with that. We are working within a mixed market economy, and that has its advantages. We should by now be able to say, look, this model so far has this disadvantages, and it just can work. This one can work, and probably there were mistakes here. So what is this tangible thing? When the president goes back and says, oh, you know, in Luwero here, they're saying they still no water. The Luwero veterans and victims of war up to now are still demanding. They actually, war victims are demanding. The TESO war victims are demanding. But it is still promise after promise. I don't think this is where this country should be going. My thinking would be that all this clearly points out to one thing, that the policy choices, and particularly because the only way in a democratic dispensation that you can realize working programs is to have clear policies with integrity in them. You know, just before we started this conversation, we were watching the journalists who were interviewing people out on the streets. You saw the voices, the people's voices. Everybody is saying, oh, you know, the hospitals are not working. Health center are not delivering. The roads, the schools. So then you ask yourself that President Museveni has presided over 39 budgets. We have seen them grow in scale, yes? But the central question would be, why is it not working out? Why is it not working out? So I think this is where his opponents should be punching in and should be giving us very concrete policy alternatives. You know, and I would understand because, like you said, the expectation is high. But for me, I think also part of the challenges we're having are structure. Because in as long as, I mean, it is good, it would be good for the ruling party in the 5 years to move away from the logic of a controlled democracy and allow actually free will democracy. We have securitized a lot of things.
A little bit there, Tolit. When we were having our correspondents across the country before we had this conversation, there are some issues that have been high on the Ugandans' minds, and one of them has been corruption, health, and infrastructure. So when you look at this, I don't know from your point of things, because even when you were mentioning, I got to realize you're also around the same. Why are we failing at those particular issues? Because this is where, for example, infrastructure and then corruption being at the head of everything. Why are we failing at it? Where's the problem at? And are these presidential candidates going to be the answer to most of the things?
No. Yes and no. Okay. Because you see, for populations that are really poor, actually, in liberal capital, capital thinking, you almost do not need a government. Because if you look at our history, I think what we have been able to do is that from independence, able to craft a state. We have a state, we have a polity, but we have failed to get into governance, a polity of governance. I think Uganda is a nation state, and with retrospect, you can clearly see that the development, take it or leave it, has been largely, it's uneven, it's uneven, I think that's the word. And this unevenness raises a lot of questions. You see, I tried to give you a quick snapshot. I took, say for instance, let's take Busoga. The central development strategy for Busoga was to rally growth and development around the sugarcane factory. I do not know how much the crafters were picking fillers from elsewhere. But let me tell you, it is strange. Today, the world has gone through so many revolutions. The Industrial Revolution, the Iron Revolution, the Technology Revolution. Now we're having AI. And we are still hoping. If you look at our policy documents, you'll find, like, for instance, the Ministry of Industry, Trade Industry, is still talking about industrialization. We cannot industrialize now.
Okay.
The question would be, how do we take advantage of our foreign policy and alliances out there, to be able to gain maximum benefit out of our core leverages.
All right, Tuli, in just a minute, your parting shots as we're winding up with our conversation.
Well, I will tell you that expectations are high, and largely because the politicians, so to speak, and in the sum total here seen today in the leaders of these parties, there has been a departure in conversation between them and the citizens. Because of the controlled atmosphere, the controlled democracy, these parties cannot move out. They're not mobilizing. So they're not speaking to the people. So people are waiting for answers at the corner of an election. And I think at the end of the day, what is key, all pointers show that this country is unevenly developed. There are a lot of unanswered questions. And I think for stability, this country needs to go into a conversation.
All right. Thank you very much. Tolit Ati has been joining us this very evening as we do a build-up to the 2025 presidential debate that is coming your way live on NTV. And of course, Remember, elections will be coming your way in January, on the 15th of January 2026. That is when we get to choose who will be our leader in the next 5 years. Now, Priva Elibas Nwamanya is live from the Victoria Hall Room at the Kampala Serena Conference Center. We get to hear from what is happening on ground, how many candidates are on ground so far, and of course, the kickoff of the presidential debate officially. Good evening, Priva. Thank you for joining us.
Uncle, a very good evening, Uganda. The moment you've all been waiting for is finally here. Tonight, history is in the making. 5 leaders, 1 nation's future. Even as Uganda goes to decide in 2026, the big question persists. Who's going to rise and eventually lead our great nation for the next 5 years? This is the moment where ideas will clash, visions are going to collide, and the destiny of our beautiful Uganda will be shaped. Welcome once again to the 2025 presidential debate, and also a night that will go down in history of our democracy. I'm Priva Elibas Nwamanya, and I'm joined by my colleague, Anwalu Katamba. Mwami Katamba, Nkula Msiza.
Onkutegekedde naye nange nkola musiza twagala okubaniriza bassebo ne banyabo mwebale nnyo okutegatako tuli butereevu ku NTV ne Spark TV era tubaniriza ku kukubaganya ebirowoozo kuno okwabakulembeze abagala okutwala eggwanga lyaffe Uganda mu maaso. Enteekateeka eno etegekeddwa aba Nation Media Group, ekitongole ekitwala NTV, Spark TV, radio okuli Dembe FM, Sakoneke FM, Sakono olupapula lw'amawulire olwa Daily Monitor, ate nga tulina n'ekitongole ekitambuza ebitereke ekya Nation Courier. Mwebale nnyo mwebale ddala olw'obuwagizi obwo bwe mutuwa nga Nation Media Group. Tuli wano eno tulindiridde okukubaganya ebirowoozo okwabo abagenda okuvuganya oba bali mu kuvuganya ku ntebe ey'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Nze Anwalu Katamba era tugenda kubeera ne Priva nga mbatwala mu kitundu eky'Oluganda. Nenga tunabakwako kye tukola badde nsaba buli omu ayagalize gw'aliranye naye emirembe. Mu Lusiraamu tugamba nti assalamu alaikum. Buli omu ayagaliza munne emirembe.
That's a nice way to go about it, yeah?
Kirungi nnyo. Akaseko nkalaba katusoole nti kaddala. Era mu mbeera eyo muzikirize nga tetunaba kugenda mu maaso mpite Sheikh Kamyuka ajje atuwe essaala eggwawo. Programu eno ebadde yatandise dda naye katwongere okugiteeka mu maaso g'Omukama kubanga kakati ate tuyingidde mu kitundu ekitali ekya studio. Sheikh Kamyuka, sebo jangu okozese kano kennyini kennina era oyimirire wano wennyini wendi sebo.
Naam. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. أي الله جل جلاله نجني وينزا tukwebaza Allah olw'ekiro kino ekirungi nga tutudde wano mu kizimbe ekirungi amatirivu ku lw'ensi yaffe Uganda, nyaffe Uganda. Tukwebaza Allah kubanga otuleese mu kifo kino ekirungi. Tukusaba Allah jalla jalaaluhu abakyaliyo naddala abakulembeze baffe batambuze bulungi. Abayayanira obuyinza Allah bubawe naddala nga gwe abakubyemu ttooki kuba gwasinga okumanya eby'omunda n'ebyolwatu. N'abakyabunywezeza Allah nga babwagala beera nga obubawa kubanga era gwasinga okubamanya. Byonna Allah tubikusabye n'abali wano abayayanira obuyinza babaka ba paalamenti n'ebifo eby'enjawulo. Allah gwasinga okulonda abakulembeze, tukusaba tulondera abakulembeze abalungi. Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdika أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Muzikirize endala tujitambule fenna. The grace
of our Lord Jesus Christ and the love of God and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with us all now and forevermore. Amen. Okay. I feel like we're now on the same wavelength. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, basebo ne banyabo tubategeeza nti abakulu bamaze dda okutuuka era nga weebali bagenda kuba batwegattako tugende mu nteekateeka ey'okukubaganya ebirowoozo. Naye ndowooza nga tetunaba kugenda mu nteekateeka ya kukubaganya ebirowoozo. Katusooke twanjulira abantu abagenda okulemberamu debate y'olwaleero ku lwa NTV.
One of the contenders that will be joining us tonight is Mr. Frank Mulira Kabinga. He is the Revolutionary People's Party chosen presidential flag bearer, and that is in the upcoming 2026 general elections. He's known for his strong stance on federalism and is sending a clear message to the country. He also believes change needs to happen in the country, our beautiful Uganda.
Okay. Tusubira Frank Mulira, atingera tusubira ne Joseph Mabirizi Elton. Era naye ajja kubanga atwegattako mumujjukira bulungi nnyo yavuganyaako ku ntebe y'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga mu kulonda kwa 2016.
And also we'll be expecting to hear from Nathan Andala Mafabi. This one is a prominent Ugandan politician. He's also an accountant and a lawyer by profession, and is also a key figure in the opposition Forum for Democratic Change. He has he has served as the Secretary General before, and now is going to be leading them to finally, hopefully, get to lead Uganda for the next 5 years.
Nga bwe tufuna amannya amalala njagala okubategeeza nti abagenda okulembera mu debate eno si yeffe abali wano. Wabula tulina Priscilla Regina Nalwoga olino nga emuweereza wa program ya Morning at NTV era omulimu guno agukoledde ddala n'obuvunaanyizibwa obwetaagisa kiseera nga afuuse ekyokulabirako eri abaana abayayanira okwegatta ku mulimu guno ogw'amawulire. Gwe njogerako alina eddoboozi. Priscilla, abantu babuuzeeko.
Wanjisebo.
Abantu babuuzeeko.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you? Ready? That's the spirit. Thank you very much. My name is Priscilla Regina Nalwoga, and I'm pleased to be your moderator for the presidential debate race for 2026 elections.
And next to her is Arnold Segawa, a doctor, a monetarist. He's a central bank scholar as well. He's a former broadcaster. I'm sure you've probably seen him grace your screens on NTV tonight. And now he returns to moderate this presidential debate. You can say hi to the viewers. He also likes to be called a nice guy. Let's see if he's actually a nice guy.
Yes, thank you for that. And good to be home, good to be back, and looking forward to asking some tough questions. Thank you.
That's what doctors do. I've never seen a doctor who talks and talks and talks and goes on and on and on. But also some of the candidates that we'll be expecting tonight. We have Major General Mshamuntu. He has been a member of the Constituent Assembly back in the day. That was between 1994 as well as 1995. He has also served in Parliament. But after disagreeing with Museveni's approach to politics and the military, he was let go. And now he returns to also see if he can move forward and become the president of Uganda come next year. That shows Alliance for National Transformation is actually in the house.
Ntv n'ebibiina ebirala nabyo weebiri. Kale tujja kwongera okugenda mu maaso n'okubyanjula naye nga bwe twongera okweteekateeka njagala okubategeezaako nti debate eno eri butereevu ku NTV ne ku Spark TV ne ku mikutu gyaffe emirala gyonna ejja social media nga bwe mugimanyi obulungi nnyo. Teekamu mu NTV Uganda otusanga naawe osobole okugoberera. Twagala okubategeeza nti debate bw'eneebeera nga etandise entambula zino ez'okwetala zijja kuba zikendeezebwako kirungi ngenza okukyogera nga zaakendedde dda n'amaloboozi gajja kuba gakendedde y'ensonga lwaki twayise abantu batonotono. Singa candidate ayogera ekigambo n'owulira nga kikukutteko engalo zibeere entonotono tuleme kuwulikika nga abali mu lwogolo lw'abantu. Kale twegendereze ensonga etufuba okulaba nga debate yaffe tugireka nga eri civil. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala.
And of course, we'll be touching base with a couple of themes that I'm sure the moderators will be highlighting later on as the debate kicks off. But just in case you just joined us right now, 5 presidential candidates will be coming through to talk to you, the Ugandan, who's supposed to vote for them come next year, 2026. If they work for you, if they convince you well enough, then this could be the time that they actually get to serve you and lead you as their president.
Ntegeezeddwa nti ne Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu amanyiddwa nga Bobi Wine naye ajja kubanga atwegattako akadde konna okuva kati.
A national unity platform is also in the house.
Basebo ne bannyabo mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala nga bwe tulinda bakandidates baffe okubanga batuuka. Njagala okwongera okubategeeza nti debate eno buli avuganya ku ntebe y'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga nga Nation Media Group abatesitesi aba debate eno twamutuukirira era ne baddamu okusaba kwaffe nga bwe baakuddamu. Abo bagenda okulabika olwaleero beebo abakkiriza okubaawo ku debate eno. Abalala ku ssaawa ensembayo balabise nga bakwataganye mu ngeri emu oba endala, naye tujja kgenda n'abo abasobodde okuba nga batwegattako. Ekisinga obukulu kya birowoozo by'abana bagenda okutukulembera. Nyaffe Uganda eno Katonda bwe yali agituwa yagituweesa ddembe, era n'abatukulembera abalongoofu ne batufunira omulamwa ogwa ku lwa Katonda n'ensi yange, for God and my country.
That's right.
Era ensonga lwaki tuli wano nga tutandise debate eno n'essaala okuva ewaseeka, tuli mu bufu obwo obw'okusabira eggwanga n'okusabira enteekateeka eno gye tulimu. Tumaze ebbanga lya myaka 5 nga twetegekera okufuna obukulembeze obugenda okutwala Uganda mu maaso emyaka emirala 5. Uganda eno tuli okugiyita Nyaffe Uganda, nga bw'eri Nyaffe Uganda yazaala era neekuza n'okulera n'erera. Mu bo be yaleera ne mufaamu abaana 8 abavuddeyo okulaba nga bayingira enteekateeka eno y'okukulembera bannaabwe. Kakasiza ddala nti buli omu Nyaffe Uganda oyo yamukuba akaama, era akaama ke yakuba presidential candidate oyo ke tugenda okuwulira olwaleero.
That's nice. So we have 8 presidential candidates. 5 will be able to make their presence seen and their voices heard tonight. Unfortunately, we won't be listening from Robert Kasibante. He's the National Peasants Party presidential flag bearer that is in the upcoming 2026 elections. And also, unfortunately, Mubarak Mnyagwa, also who wants to be known as Mugatigwa Bata, also won't be making it tonight. And he's a prominent Ugandan politician and also a former member of parliament. He believes we should all eat from the same. That's very important. Yeah, but on the broader perspective of everything, I think this is going to be a very wonderful debate. The people that have showed up show that they actually want to lead Ugandans. Otherwise, if that was not the case, then all of them should have been here. But nonetheless, like my colleague Anwalu Katamba said, we'll definitely be moving forward with the presidential candidates that have confirmed their presence.
Presidential race eno ey'omulundi guno buli muntu alina engombo kwali mu kutambulira, naye buli omu bw'agyogera owulirira ddala nga birowoozo bikulu. Waliwo abagamba kikukuuma ebyo ebituukiddwako, ne wabeerawo n'abasuubiza okuleeta enkyukakyuka. Abalala bagamba kuleeta Uganda mpya. Kakati katulindirire abantu kye banaasalawo.
Yeah, it's up to the electorate. The people who are out there, they're the ones who have to make their voice heard and basically exercise their constitutional right of going out there to vote their leader of the country. Go ahead, go for it. I will decide come 15th January 2026. That's when I'm going to be making my decision. But I would implore all Ugandans, of course, to turn up and make their voice heard. This is a constitutional right. No one is doing you a favor. You're there to vote for Uganda, to make your home a better place.
Ngabotweteekateeka njagala Priscilla otuyisizeemu ku ebyo bye tuba tusuubira ebigenda okuva mu katuuti ako we mutudde.
All right, thank you so much, Anwal Katamba. As we do have the 5 candidates, we will be receiving them in a short while. When they take the stage, they will be speaking to you, the Ugandan. They will be telling you the one particular problem they have found that cuts across the east of Uganda, the west of Uganda, north of Uganda, south of Uganda, and central of Uganda, a problem that unites all of us 45.9 million Ugandans. And what is their solution? Should you trust them with your vote and give them the mandate to lead you as their leader and president come 2026? That is what we want to scrutinize this evening.
Doctor.
Yes, sir.
Seven out where you.
Wow. As my brother Kawesa always says. But what we're looking forward to is a very candid conversation, honesty, and promises easy to make, and you fail short. Not speak of someone who was once a novelist and wrote very candidly about some things, but he failed to deliver. We want to see what our 5 people here have to promise Ugandans and whether or not they can deliver on those promises.
Allow me to interrogate the doctor here. What would be the definition of a promise? Because we have seen different people, different communities saying that promises were made and failed.
Well, usually when someone has no quick retort, they say that that's relative. And what I could say is that could also be very relative. If you've been around long enough and you fail to deliver time and again, that also hits very hard.
And as people are watching this presidential debate, what should they use as their measure for a promise to be kept?
Well, the answer to that is quite simple. If you go through manifesto, you do see a regurgitation of something being said over and over and over again. Then you have your answer already. So some of the candidates here that we're going to see have put out manifestos in the past. Some parties have been around for some election cycles, and it is time for us to interrogate, are you copying and pasting the same message that you had 5 years ago and putting it forth to us this time around?
All right. We do have our social media platforms that are equally running with engagement and poll questions. Please feel free to actually reach out with your voice. Your voice matters in this presidential debate because you are the Ugandan that they are talking to tonight. The hashtag is Ntv Presidential Debate 2025 across all our social media platforms, Ntv Uganda and Spark TV. Please also be reminded that we are streaming live on our website, www.ntv.co.ug.
Kale toyanza nnyo toyanzege mbeera bwetyo bwegenda okuba era mukadde kano ndowooza ba presidential candidates baffe bonna bonna betugenda okubeera nabo baweddeyo bamaze okutuuka. Honorable Robert Chagulanyi Sentamu naye amaze okutuuka. Kale kakati akadde konna tugenda kubanga tuyingira mu debate yaffe naye nga tetunaba kuyingira mu debate eyo. Doctor, mu advert ebadde etambula nga eraga debate eno tegenda kubeerayo, waliwo ekigambo kye wakozesa, not slogans. Sebo wali otegeeza ki? But it's just ideas. Sebo tumenyere, not slogans but ideas. Sebo wali otegeeza ki?
Sikiriza njogera Oluganda. Waliwo abantu bangi abalowooza simanyi Luganda naye ndi musajja Muganda wawu. Wewetegereza okulonda okwensi gye bayita United States of America, we bafuna obwetuze webabuyita obwetuze independence in 1776. That was a while back from the British. Something interesting happened. Fast forward to the Ronald Reagan time, and something that was fascinating was Ronald Reagan came up with a slogan for his campaign. And when he came up with this slogan, it was Make America Great. Does that sound familiar? Yeah. Because someone used the same slogan in 2016, just added one more word, which is Make America Great Again.
Okay.
So if we are to go with sloganeering, then that is exactly what some people will do. They'll get away with murder just because you don't have a long enough memory to remember that there's a man who was once an actor, turned governor of California, turned presidential candidate, and won the election.
Okay.
Oh, the same Arnold.
Kale.
Ah, okay.
Mukadde kano twanirize avuganya kuba president Frank Bulira Kabinga amaze okutuuka. Frank Bulira Kabinga onono yakwatidde ekibiina ki Revolutionary People's Party RPP. Mukulu yoyo atuuka agende Butelevu. Beti Mudondo mutwale Butelevu wali waggulu ku Baganda ke tuyita akatuuti ab'Olungereza oba ke muyita podium. omukulu oyo atuuka ebyobufuzi teyakabiyingira yabitandika ebbanga ddene emabega era nga yaliko mu kibiina eky'abaana DP abaali abavubuka KYD ate gye yava ne yeegatta ku Dr. Agre Kiyingi mu Uganda Young Democrats gye yava n'alyoka yeegatta ku kibiina kino ekya RPP mwaze okuvuganyiza ku ntebe ey'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Tukube engalo ezimwaniriza.
So Frank Bulira Kabinga is a Ugandan politician and also the presidential candidate for the Revolutionary People's Party in the 2026 general elections. Up next, the other contender that will be joining us tonight is Honorable Nandala Mafabi. He is currently the opposition figure leading the Front for Democratic Change and is their flag bearer for the 2026 general elections. Please welcome Nathan Nandala Mafabi.
FDC webali muri badembe okwaniriza omukulu nga atuuka era nga Nathan Nandala Mafabi naye ebyobufuzi teyakabitandika yabitandikira ddala mwaka ogwa 2001 gy'abadde nga omubaka wa palamenti okutuukira ddala olwaleero ng'avuganya ku ntebe y'obukulembeze bw'eggwanga. Mukulu yakolako mu URA era akoze emirimu mingi nnyo okutuuka watuuse awo. Ssebo tukwaniriza era tulindiridde okuwuliriza ebirowoozo by'ogenda okutuwamu. Omutwale butereevu ku katuuti dokita n'amusoyezaawo ebibuuzo.
And just to highlight his education, his A-level education, he attended Busoga College, Mirin, Jinja. He also graduated from Bakari University in 1988 with a Bachelor of Statistics and Economics. He also followed that with a postgraduate diploma in education, and that was in 1989. And also, that was from Makere. He also obtained a diploma in income tax administration, and that was from the Uganda Management Institute in Kampala. In 1993, he passed the Certified Public Accountant examinations, and that was both in Uganda and Kenya as well. Currently, like we said, he is the presidential flag bearer for the Front for Democratic Change.
Basebone banyabo twanirize General Grigor Mugisha Muntu muna ANT sebo tukwaniriza ku debate ya feno etegekeddwa aba Nation Media Group ekitongole ekitwala Ntv Spark TV olupapula lw'amawulire olwa Daily Monitor radio okuli Ntebbe FM Sakone KFM oyo omukulu oyo yadumirako n'amagye g'eggwanga era y'omu ku bannansi abeetaba obutereevu mu lutalo olw'abanunuzi abaleeta gavumenti ya NRM mu buyinza. Sebo tukwaniriza.
Now, Mugisha Muntu was officially nominated on September 24th, 2025, and is also known for his calm, values-based political approach. And his focus has always been on addressing governance issues. He has also criticized the current government for its failure to convert the country's wealth into prosperity. That is the retired Major General Mugisha Muntu. Thank you for joining us.
Basebone banyabo twanirize Joseph Mabirizi, Elton Joseph Mabirizi, naye amaze okutuuka. Era ngono yavuganyako ne mu kalulu ka 2016 obululu akakiiko k'ebyokulonda ke baamuwa bw'anaaba afunye omukisa n'abutubuulira naye ssebo tukwaniriza ku debate eno etegekeddwa aba Nation Media Group era tulindiridde okulaba ebirowoozo byo ekiro ky'olwaleero.
Elton Joseph Mabirizi is the presidential candidate for the Conservative Party, and that is in the upcoming 2026 general elections. Just like my colleague said, this is his second time contesting as president, and I'm very sure he's not new to these things.
mu 2016 fe abaaliwo twamuyitanga Mabirizi.
Mabirizi.
Oba gwe waliridda wa 2016
I was still very much around, by the way. I remember his name trending as Mabirizi, and I think it's a cool name. We like presidential candidates that are actually relatable.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which class were you?
2016, I was already at campus. I was already doing my university degree.
I think guys out there, they are now...
I'm old enough.
Toyenza nyo toyanzege tulindirira omukulu Joseph Elton Mabirizi okubanga naye ayingira atwale ekifo kye nga bwe twongera okweteekateeka.
All right, as we wait for Joseph Elton Mabirizi to come through, the other contender that's going to be joining us tonight is Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He's also known as Bobi Wine. He's a politician. He's also the president of the National Unity Platform, a former musician. He's an actor. He's a businessman. And he transitioned to politics and gained prominence as a critic of the president, that is Yoweri Kaguta Museveni.
Mukulano gwe tuleeta yaliko omuyimbi era ebiseera we yabeerera omuyimbi yayitibwanga ghetto gladiator era yayitibwanga ghetto president. Simanyi oba kyeki kyali ekifo kye naye tujja kuba nga tumufuna. Ntegeezeddwa nti Mabirizi naye atuuse. Ssebo Elton Joseph Mabirizi, presidential candidate owa Conservative Party. Ssebo tukwaniriza obudde ensi yakulindiridde dda ate olina ekyafaayo ekyobudde abaliwo mu 2016 abamu babadde batandise okweraliikirira.
That is Elton Joseph Mabirizi, the presidential candidate for the Conservative Party in the 2026 elections. He's doing it again as he's also joined by the party chairman, John Ken Luchamzi, and a nice delegation. Conservative Party is in the house, officially. The man.
The man.
All right, Conservative Party is in the house. Let's move forward to our final candidate of the night. That is Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He is the presidential flag bearer for the 2026 general elections on the ticket of the National Unity Platform. Please join us and welcome Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi.
Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu bw'atuuka tubategeezezza nti yaliko mu kisaawe eky'okuyimba era nakati akyakirimu. Nnyimba empya zikyajja nnyingi nnyo tutera okuziwulira weewaawo tezizannyika ku TV bannange munaatusonyiwa muyinza okuzitubanja.
But his political journey actually started in 2017 to 2021 when he represented Chadondo County East, that is in the Parliament of Uganda. There were some things that happened there, so we won't dwell on that. All we know is that he leads the People Power, the Power Movement, and it has been a major opposition force. And he also ran for president in 2021, and he's here to do it again next year.
Kale tulinze Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu atambula n'omulamwa ogw'okugamba nti aleeta Uganda empya ne kkooti y'abantu. Ebyo bye bimu ku bigambo byasinga okutambulirako. Naye abamuleeta oba bamulaze ekkubo kyamu ndaba tavaayo.
Aja is coming.
Tuyinza okwogera ebingi ne twokya. Kale ye Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu abasinga obungi gwe bamanyi nga Bobi Wine, president w'ekibiina ki National Unity Platform. Amukulembedde ye Mildred Bedun. Asoma amawulire ga Ntv Weekend Edition.
Our final contender walking in right now, Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. He's the president of the National Unity Platform. Doing this for the second time.
Abakulu nga bamaze okutekano tugenda kuwaayo obudde bwonna bwe tulina okulaba nga tuwa ba moderators baffe akadde batandike session yaffe ey'okubaganya ebirowoozo. Twakutegeezezza nti abamu ku abo bagenda okulemberamu ku lwa NTV ba presidential candidates bano njagala tububanjulire basobole okubategeera obulungi. Abagenda okulemberamu debate eno ku lwa NTV tulinako Priscilla Regina Naluoga, abamu ku mmwe abali awo ku podium yali abakyazizaako, ye presenter owa program ya Morning at NTV. Program ebeerawo buli lunaku okuva ku Monday paka ku lunaku olwokutaano. Ye Priscilla Regina Naluoga omu ku bannamawulire abagundidde obulungi mu mulimu guno.
And seated next to her is Arnold Segawa. He's a doctor, a monetarist and a central bank scholar as well. He has also been in the newsroom for quite some time, so he's well versed with that field as well. He's going to be our moderator as well for the presidential debate as we gear up for the 2026 general elections.
Presidential candidate kanyimirire wano musobolo okundaba nze ani walukatamba kakati katubaweeyo eri bannaffe baneeno abagenda okubakulembera mu debate mbadde ne prefer.
Over to you, Arnold and Priscilla.
Good evening, Uganda, and to all watching us across the world. It is 8:34 in Kampala and midday 34 in Washington, D.C. I know there are very many people who are eager to hear, especially in the diaspora, what all of you have to offer us as presidential candidates, and we're looking forward to hearing your thoughts. Tonight, live from Kampala, Ntv and Spark TV bring you a defining moment in our nation's democratic journey. The Ntv Presidential Debate 2025, the race for 2026. I'm Dr. Arnold Sagawa, together with Priscilla Regina Nalwoga.
Good evening to you, Uganda, and good evening to you, our candidates. Our candidates, how are you? Pressure. Pressure, pressure. Let's turn on those microphones and just hear your voices so that we know you're the one. I will start with the General. General, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
We are fine.
You are fine.
I trust you are fine too.
Ah, that's wonderful to hear. A round of applause for him. Mr. Robert Chagulanyi.
Mic check, 1, 2.
1, 2, check. It's a pleasure to have you. Good evening.
It's a pleasure for me to be here. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, our dear moderators. Good evening, fellow candidates.
All right. We also do have Honorable Nandala Mafabi. Honorable, good evening.
Good evening, everybody. We look forward for a lively debate.
It's a pleasure to be in your company. A round of applause for him. We also do have Mr. Joseph Mabirizi. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening to all of us.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
Ka pressure keko batukendezeko.
I don't have any pressure.
Yeah. That's wonderful to hear. If they're confident, then Uganda should be confident about the next hours to come. And finally, we also do have candidate Frank Bulira. Good evening to you, sir.
Good evening, dear Ugandan. Good evening, dear Ugandans, and thank you so much, NTV, for this arrangement.
And thank you so much for accepting our invitation and coming through. These are the 5 candidates, 1 state, and of course, 1 country that is watching. Tonight is about ideas, tonight is about vision, as well as leadership, unfiltered, uncompromising, as well as decisive.
Gentlemen, if you may, some hygiene issues. When you're done speaking through your microphone, kindly switch it off, otherwise we will have feedback. And moving on, the focus tonight is on issues that are shaping the future of this nation. We have infrastructure, ICT and innovation, finance and national development, not forgetting health.
And as duly introduced, our 5 candidates are ready, and they have shown us that they're ready to go. There are 5 voices. However, you and I make up 1 electorate. Every answer tonight is going to be counting, and every commitment is going to be measured.
Joining us tonight on stage, we have Frank Bulira. We're going in alphabetical order from your surname. On my extreme right, Mr. Frank Bulira, thank you. Mr. Candidate Joseph Mabirizi, thank you. Candidate Nathan Nandala Mafabi. In the middle, we have candidate Robert Chagulanyi, and last but not least, on my extreme left, candidate Mugisha Muntu.
Well, tonight marks a very defining moment in our national conversation. Ugandans from across the country, ever since we began this live broadcast, have been talking to us, and they have been telling us some of the things they would like their candidates to actually pinpoint about. And of course, this has been building up to this coverage from our correspondents in Entebbe to northern Uganda to Mbarara to the voices of everyday Muna Uganda, each one of them sharing, expecting of you, our candidates, as you get to address them as a nation. Now, a short while ago, we were introduced to the 5 candidates joining us today, and we get to regret that 3 candidates were unable to join us on this stage tonight, with the hope that all 8 will be present at future debates.
Tonight, we will be looking at 5 themes, that is youth unemployment and jobs. 2 is security, governance and justice. 3, technology and the future of work. 4, infrastructure development and the health sector. And 5, finance and economic development.
And as the word presidential debate does say it, each candidate has 4 minutes for your introduction. Each candidate has 4 minutes and 30 seconds allowed to close your submission to every address under everything that we're going to be discussing tonight. And 1 minute will be awarded to you, and maybe 45 seconds to give your closing remarks when the night is done and dusted. There will be a 7-minute commercial break after the second theme, and these themes were all selected based on months and months of public engagement. Thousands of Ugandans having submitted their priorities and questions. This is through the community forums, digital platforms, and of course the regional outreach. However, the final selections, the structure, and the sequencing for tonight were made independently of the debate team. So as per the debate rules, neither the candidate that you see on the podium this evening nor anyone on the team have reviewed or influenced.
Without further ado, let us begin. And this is going to be very brief. In 4 minutes, tell Ugandans why you're the best candidate and to take this big job of being the president, not just having the fancy office. While you're at it, also tell Ugandans what the biggest problem is with the country. Let me start with you, Mr. Bulira. 4 minutes.
Thank you so much, Ugandans. My name is Bulira Frank Kabinga Salongo. I'm the presidential flag bearer for the Revolutionary People's Party, a party which merged with the Uganda Federal Democratic Organization, which was led by the late Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi. I'm here in the footsteps of the late fighter Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi, in the footsteps of our forefathers who fought for federalism, the Nkwangas, the Andrew Takome Kairas, the Dr. Paul Kawanga Semogereres, the retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besiges. I'm in this race not just to contest ceremoniously. I'm here to contest and deliver our opposition to State House. It has been a process of over 4 decades, and I think this coming election is going to close up each and everything. This is the time that we need to shape our country. There are only 2 big problems of our country, Uganda. Number 1 problem is Mr. Museveni. The second problem is the system of governance. That is why, as the Revolutionary People's Party, we are looking at federalism. Federalism is the way to go, and it is our core. The RPP, we believe that even if Mr. Museveni goes and we have another president and we don't change the system of governance, we shall remain in the same problems. In my first 100 days, that's why I pledge that Uganda is going to go federalist. Bulira Frank Kabinga, I was groomed by the Uganda Young Democrats. I started my politics in Kasubi Church of Uganda Primary School way back during the CA times. I joined Uganda Young Democrats in the second generation after the Dr. Lurume's first generation of UID, the Mabikes. I was part of the second generation, and I was the spokesperson of the Uganda Young Democrats under the leadership of Susan Abo by then. Then I was the students leader for Uganda Young Democrats until I joined Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi. I joined Dr. Kiyingi purposely because I wanted to remove Mr. Museveni, period. I didn't want to overstay in the opposition. You all much well know that Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi was standing in the true path of changing this country. In fact, if Dr. Kiyingi or Dr. Besigye had been in this race, I wouldn't have contested, because they are the only two people who had solutions to changing this government, who were focused on removing Mr. Museveni and with realistic solutions. We have done enough politicking, and it is now time to remove Mr. Museveni. That is why I also argue my fellow candidates, fellow contestants, if they are really genuinely looking at removing Mr. Museveni first, to join me, and we remove Mr. Museveni. We shall sort other issues regarding parties and our aspirations after removing Mr. Museveni after 15th January. So I'm here, dear Ugandans, presenting myself as your next president come 2026. My campaign was derailed. As you know, Dr. Kiyingi, he was living miles away from Uganda, but he was the most feared man. Mr. Museveni feared Dr. Kiyingi more than opposition leaders sleeping in Kampala and Wakiso. You know that.
It's a debate, Mr. Frank Bulira. Your time is up, 4 minutes. But since you want to remove Mr. Museveni, then I ask that you move from your seat and come sit next to these two gentlemen, in between these two gentlemen who have also rightly said that they're doing the same thing. Please stand up and come and sit in between the general and the one who's promising a new Uganda.
Though I'm number one,
It is okay. We shall decide on 15th. Thank you very much. Each candidate being reminded you have 4 minutes for your introduction. And now we move to the second candidate, Candidate Joseph Mabirizi.
Good evening once again. My name is Elton Joseph Mabirizi Salongo from Conservative Party, the party which has outlived generations. In CP, we have the uniqueness that we stand for. Number one, it's about the governance, which requires fabrication to come up with something new which can fit in the generation we live in. We stand for regional governments, and when we talk about regional governments, many people will ask, what do you mean exactly? We have 16 regions of Uganda, and those 16 regions must have small governments where they share power with the central government. Uganda is like a sinking boat in an ocean. Without coming up with a regional government, we would have done nothing, even if we elect any other leader. So regional governments, this is where power is shared, resources, responsibilities are shared with the central government. And when you come up with such a government, you would have dealt away with so many problems of Uganda that we are facing today. For example, the problem we are facing where all authority belongs to one person, where security is just in central government. where taxes are collected and just go into a small group of people to govern that. So there is a great need to institute regional governments to ease service delivery, at the same time creating a lot of jobs, which is a problem that we are facing today, but also working on the system of education that we are having in Uganda, which does not help parents, it doesn't help the graduates, the learners, it doesn't help even the government. The first beneficiary of the citizens or the graduates, it is the government. But when they finish, you find that there are no jobs, which has created a lot of dependence. People who are working are very few, and many depend on others. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that, sir. On to you, Mr. Mafabi.
My name is Nathan Nandala Mafabi. I came in this election. I come from Forum for Democratic Change. Our theme is fixing the economy and the money in our pockets. The current problem in Uganda is three-phased: corruption, that is greed, poverty, injustice. I have worked in the whole country. You discover poor mothers, poor fathers, who are selling tomatoes, oranges. They cannot even make enough to feed their families. Our children go to school. Out of 10 children who join primary school, only 2 reach P7. That means there's 80% dropout. You go to the health center, they will refer you, go out for medical attention, go and buy medicine, go for a scan, and those are the main things which bring us in this election. But what's the problem? We have been around for 40 years. We have been talking about peace, 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 and I don't think Ugandans can now eat peace because the peace is there. What we need is people to have jobs, and when they have jobs, they will earn a living. We look forward to investing in agriculture. We look forward to investing in education. We look forward to investing in health sector. We look forward to investing in infrastructure. I come with experience because I have studied all those. I come with experience in economy, in accounting, in taxation, in knowing poverty, how it's painful. I have worked. I'm fortunate you mentioned that only maybe you are, but I was in Ministry of Finance. I worked for World Bank, and we have advised many governments, and I've come out of poverty. So I am coming here with experience to help Uganda to move forward. I come as an employee. I want to be a servant to serve you with all my energy to ensure that people of Uganda can have the 3 meals which are designated in our lives. I am aware that we are 8 candidates, but each of us has his own manifesto. Our manifesto is very clear, it is spelling out what is supposed to be done. We want to create jobs. 60% of the youth are unemployed. 84 people live on 14 people. This is the danger, and this is the biggest insecurity we are having in our country. You get people are walking on the street from morning to evening, looking for what to do, what to eat, and this is causing a lot of problems in our country. In fact, the next time bomb is from the unemployment of the youth. Currently, our economy is structured in such a way that the service sector, which is contributing about 50%, is externalized. That's the telecom, that is the financial sector, and even the industrial part is belonging to the foreigners. Local Ugandans themselves, who live on agrarian economy, which contributes almost 80% of our livelihood, are only having a 23.8 GDP contribution, meaning that our people are living as slaves in their country. This is what we need to resolve, and it's urgent, and it needs somebody with experience in that area. In my life, I have been in Parliament for 25 years. I have been there advocating for, one, justice. I've been advocating for, because there's a lot of social injustice, I have been advocating for this issue to do with poverty alleviations. Every election, we see a different theme that they are doing. In 1996, they brought in Tandekwa. In 2001, they brought Kulembeka. In 2006, they brought Bondaba Gagaure. In 2011, they brought Prosperity for All. In 2016, they brought Emioga. In 2021, they brought Operation North Question. Now, 2026 PDM. If these were really aiming to remove poverty, and they have not done, it means there's total failure in the government. Our government lacks transparency in management, and corruption is at the theme.
Thank you for your submission, sir. Let's move on to candidate Robert Juggling.
Thank you very much, dear distinguished moderators, honorable colleagues with whom I'm running for the noble responsibility of leading our nation, ladies and gentlemen present here, and those watching us from afar. I am humbled to be here contesting to lead our country, and it's great pleasure and honor to be representing the common people of our country. As a person who comes from the ghetto and rose to represent the nation at the highest level, I cannot take any further pride than that. But also, I am aware that we are in a nation that is at crossroads. We had independence 63 years ago, and 40 of those years have been covered by one man who has reduced our country to a failed state. Absolutely, it is clear to all and sundry that this nation, which is primarily young, has clearly made a decision, only that they have been stifled. I am aware that I will be taking over a nation where 1.5 babies are born every year, taking over a nation where almost half of the budget goes to servicing debts. I'm aware that I'm taking over a nation that is deeply divided, but committed and ready to unite our country, which we've already started doing. What we promise is a new Uganda which is going to reset. Our country has completely been messed, and it needs to start afresh. Every institution has been captured, and we intend to start again in a new Uganda where people are going to be servants, where citizens of Uganda should take over power to decide the destiny of their lives. As we stand right now, the people of Uganda don't have a vote, they don't have a voice, and they don't have power over their nation. The state has been captured completely, and we hope to liberate not just the citizens, but also those that are leading the country. On a downside, I had really hoped to meet General Museveni here, so I could publicly face him and hear what more lies he has to tell us after 40 years. To hear from him straight the gains he's protecting. Is he protecting the potholes? Is he protecting the rotten hospitals? Is he protecting the broken down schools, the broken down infrastructure? Is he protecting his power and right to torture citizens? I had always wanted to hear that, not privately, but publicly from General Museveni. Anyway, it's all right that he's not here because he's in the past and we are discussing the future of our country. So I'm very glad and I hope to share ideas and to teach and learn from these, our colleagues. But of course, I must assert it that the people of Uganda, especially the young generation, the new generation that I largely represent, is committed to changing their country and to taking back the right to determine their destiny. I am ready and committed to lead the charge to change Uganda, so help us the Almighty God.
Thank you.
And the final candidate for the evening, with your introduction and why Uganda should believe in your cause.
Thank you, dear moderators. Let me take this opportunity again to thank all Ugandan citizens who are seated in this room and those who are watching us. I'm called Gregory Mugisha Muntu Oyera. I hold the flag for Alliance for National Transformation, whose mantra is values-driven leadership. We entered this race very well knowing the state of our country. For 63 years, we've been in a vicious cycle. John Museveni being the 9th president, regime after regime, promises are made, promises are never fulfilled. And we reached a point where we believe that there must be something up there that causes leaders to get up there in spite of the promises that they do make. What makes them drunk to a point where they lose direction, they don't fulfill promises, they trample on citizens, and unfortunately at this point in time, we have not even had the experience where one leader hands over power to another. That's sad. Some of us had hoped that we would see the breaking out of that vicious cycle. Where we are heading, we are not so sure whether that will be or not. We keep on struggling. We hope that we'll see that at some point. We've been moving around the country now for about 2 months. The state of our people is quite frightening. Joblessness, the levels of joblessness of the youth, the depth of poverty that you read on the faces of the people, and even what they express. The lack of drugs in hospitals, government hospitals, and very well knowing that there are those who can't afford to go to private hospitals, which means they can't afford the bills, which means that most people just go home to die. That's been going on for quite a while. In the area of joblessness, even the few jobs which are viable, not only at the national level, but even at the local government level, because I've so far gone through 74 districts. And I made it a point to ask everywhere we go whether there are transparent systems of young people getting jobs. And the response has been uniform throughout. I've not been to any district where I've got a response that you can do an interview, and when you succeed or you are the best, that you can get a job unless you know someone, unless you pay a bribe. That's quite frightening, that government jobs can be sold. So the people out there who still believe that General Museveni should continue, I've been urging them on the campaign trail that considering that state of affairs and the frightening levels of corruption in this country, we lose 10 trillion Uganda shillings. That's about 2.7 billion United States dollars every year, that they should reconsider. General Museveni should just simply be retired peacefully on 15th. And I've been urging them to look amongst the 7 of us and select one country from the vicious circle in which it is, the mess at which we are, also considering the levels of the frightening levels of debt, that they look for a capable person. And I always project myself.
All right.
Because of.
Thank you so much, Mugisha Muntu. 5 candidates. We do also have 5 themes for the presidential debate. Please be reminded we are streaming across our social media platforms on Facebook as well as X as well as TikTok. So share the link with the rest of Uganda. Equally on our website www.ntv.co.ug, we are having the presidential debate live on NTV as well as Spark TV. As we start up theme number 1, youth unemployment and the jobs or the economic reset. I'm going to start with candidate Frank Wulira. Just to shape the narrative, candidate, Uganda has a very young population, as according to the UBO statistics from the population census having been conducted in 2024, more than 73% of citizens being under the age of 30, including about 14 million people aged between 15 and 30, marking about 31%. And then you look at the latest labor data also showing us that only about 37% of these young people are actually employed and working. About 16% of them are choosing or are able to stay in school, and roughly 40 to 42% are neither in employment. We cannot trust them in education, neither can we pin them in training. Youth unemployment is standing currently at 16.3% compared to the 11.7% overall. When we look to the female perspective, there the youth unemployment is also closely higher at 20%. The figures do go on, but each year about 700,000 people do enter the labor market, but only about 34% of that figure is actually absorbed in jobs. Candidate Frank Wulira, given these realities, what concrete measures beyond the national employment strategy, beyond the national development plan 4 that we're currently running as a country, will you implement in your first 3 years? 1, to raise job absorption well above 34%. 2, cut the youth NEET rate by at least 10%. And then 3, to ensure that the additional jobs being created are decent, they are formal, and are creating opportunities rather than incurring a lot of pressure on the informal sector.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, surely poverty is everywhere, but our case as Uganda is so worrying. Just as I said, we can speak a lot, but the biggest problem of Uganda is Mr. Museveni and the system of governance. Those are the two biggest problems, bringing about youth unemployment, growing at the fastest rate, and people losing hope in their country and in the future. As the Revolutionary People's Party, under the new federal arrangement, remember, after 15th January next year, in the next 2 weeks, Uganda will be announced as the new Federal Democratic Republic, governed under the 16 federal states, taking charge of their wealth. The Revolutionary People's Party is going to take the jobs closer to the people, where they stay. Gone are the days when everyone has to come to Kampala looking for jobs. People going to kneel before Mr. Museveni to get survival, including ministers, public servants. You have to meet Mr. Museveni in order to survive, in order for your child to be given a bursary. The federal arrangement is going to take back the jobs in the areas, the 16 proposed federal states making up Uganda. First of all, we are going to introduce the Federal Economic Empowerment Program. The Federal Economic Empowerment Program is going to replace these failed Bonabagagawales, parish development models, which are just enriching NRM cadres and RDCs, swindling taxpayers' money, the Operation Wealth Creations, just helping soldiers to build more mansions and build arcades. They are all going to be scrapped, and the Federal Empowerment, Economic Empowerment Program is going to look at the Ugandans in Sebei are going to be placed in the cement factories, where you even have truck drivers who are Chinese, in Kaserem, in Kapchora.
Mr. Wulira, can you name one country that's operating a federal system?
UAE, Germany.
Which ones of those are over just under 63 years?
God said about UAE and its background. There was a time when Uganda was far ahead of UAE. You remember that one time Idi Amin Dada gave food aid to UAE when the current president was the father of the current Sheikh Al Maktoum. He gave UAE food aid, plus the little soil UAE has. It was taken from here and mixed with the sand. UAE, every tree in UAE and grass has to be irrigated in order to live for a day.
I worry,
but
Mr.
it is the capital city of the world right now. Uganda would be so far better if we had gone federal.
I worry you might not know that much about federalism, because the best example,
according to you,
the United States of America, which is operating on a federal system. From the federal system, you go down to the state system. Then from the state system, you go down to municipals. So I worry that you want to implement something that you're not very savvy with.
That is according to you?
No, this is the biggest economy in the world. So if you're to give an example, at least let's go with one that has...
I give the example of UAE because it's the country I know most. The king of Dubai is my good friend Sheikh Al Maktoum, and the president of UAE, Sheikh Nayan. So it is a live example. My second home is in UAE. I've admired a lot from UAE under their arrangement, whereby you don't need to go to Sharjah when you are in Abu Dhabi to get a service. Everything is in a different is well catered for in a particular federal state or province. Provinces are competing. When Abu Dhabi builds a big skyscraper, Dubai will bring Burj Khalifa. When Al Alain does this, you know, in the end, the country ends up developing. In Nigeria, you don't need to go to, if you are in Lagos, you are contented. You don't need to go to Abuja. You don't need to go.
Kumasi is in Ghana, but thank you. You have run out of time. Thank you, Mr. Bulira. As you can imagine, it is going to be a very heated conversation, and if I do jump in, my credentials might permit me to do that. On to the next candidate. Let's look at Mr. Joseph Mavirizi. Quick question, Mr. Mavirizi. Are you familiar with the Malabo Declaration? Could you kindly switch on your mic? Are you familiar with the Malabo Declaration?
So many declaration has been done.
That is a yes or no question,
so
sir.
Which one do you mean exactly?
Malabo Declaration, Africa Union. Are you familiar with the Abuja Declaration?
Which one in particular? Because several of them. There are several which has been done.
I wouldn't want to eat into your time.
Are you talking about the climate one? Are you talking about which one are you talking about?
Okay, let's talk about agriculture. A declaration was made where 10% of revenues going through this fiscal plan when it comes to spending of any nation that is privy to the African Union spends 10% of their revenue on agriculture. As you can imagine, Uganda does not do that. That being said, what would you do in your first few months as president of Uganda to fix that?
We have a very big plan about agriculture infrastructure, where we want to encourage much of small-scale industry, where people can use simple machines in agriculture.
Like hoes?
When I talk about simple machines, I know even a hoe falls under that, but there are other machines which are not big tractors, and those ones which are operated just with small engines. There are those ones which are operated manually. They just push them. So there are so many. So I'm a hoe.
I'm very confused. Are we talking about combine harvesters? Are we talking John Deere? Are we talking, I'm very confused. Going back to plowing with oxen, which one is it? Give me something concrete.
They are tractors, but now I'm talking about the simple machines which use these simple engines, which are affordable. They don't consume a lot of fuel, and they are being used in Malaysia. So you can visit Malaysia, because for me, that's where I saw them. So that's what I'm talking about, that once we trade that and bring it into our nation, we would have...
But you're addressing
Not only
something different, because what this declaration say is to have 10% of your GDP.
I understand your
spent.
question. Give me time to answer.
Please, go ahead.
If you want me to answer your way, then it's something else.
Please, proceed.
I have my way, and I can pass either way to answer you. So you want me to give the answer you have? Huh? I have my own answer. So, you know, I told the person who contacted me that let me hope you are taking me into a debate, not something like questioning you, then you answer this, someone asks another question to take you off. So, what I was saying, there is a need to get that into that modernization agriculture, where we need to import simple machines to empower agriculture sector from the regions. And once you've empowered all the regions, having shared power, responsibility, where the regions, they are also responsible for collecting taxes, and after collection of taxes, they only give 40% to the central government. Then 60% remains in the region. So the regional governments, they are responsible to institute and put into practice what fits their region according to agriculture. So it will be the responsibility of the regions sitting and deciding. Even what the declaration aimed at may be less. Each region will decide according to the need of that region. That's what we call shared power. It's not about only one person dictating that things should move in this direction or the other direction. That will be the responsibility of the regional governments.
Makes sense. Thank you.
All right, as we do go on, be reminded that our first theme of the night is youth unemployment and economic reset. This is where we'd like to turn to Honorable Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the one who has quite a large youth following. These are young boys and girls who need technical skills that are primarily scarce in our country right now. We look to training, we look to education, vocational education, and we also look to tertiary education that is still by and large weak. And also the digital economy is leaving so many people behind. From what you have seen in the many days you have been all over this country, if you were to become president, what immediate reforms will you use to drive an overhaul in TVET and then also build real digital skills and ensure that the young person you have been meeting on this campaign trail is actually not locked out of the future?
Thank you very much. And I'm glad you mentioned that indeed we've been traveling all over the country. For me, this is more realistic than idealistic. These are not just statistics. These are realities. These are people. We've been there, and in every urban town we've reached, you've seen hundreds of young people that show up, that are desperate. They're strong, they're talented, they want to work, but these are young people that have been failed by a system. It should be noted that Uganda is ranked the most entrepreneurial country in Africa. However, the young people are being failed because 70% of the small businesses that are started do not live to complete one full year. They are failed because of high taxes. They are failed because of the cost of money, high interest rates. They are failed because of high electricity rates. They are failed because of high transportation, and this comes because of the broken down transport infrastructure. As a national unity platform in the new Uganda, we have a plan of establishing 10 million jobs. From here, we're going to do this by leveraging the tourism sector. As you know, Uganda is immensely gifted. We're going to leverage the manufacturing sector, and most importantly, the creative industry. Now, having come from the creative industry, I know the potential of the creative industry. Uganda is equally as talented as Nigeria, or even more talented. But looking at the Nigeria's creative industry, it is almost outcompeting the oil industry. In fact, they call it the new oil because it is largely seen as even more engaging and more incorporating of young people, of the ordinary citizen, than the oil sector. Now, our plan is as follows. First, we want to empower and support the small, medium enterprises and the cottage industries. Now, for the benefit of our voters out there, cottage industries are the small scale industries, mainly in homesteads that are majoring in production. These, we must understand, looking at the growing economies of the world, these have been the unsung heroes of these growing economies. China, India, Brazil, name it. So, looking at these examples, we think it can be a benefit in Uganda. I'm looking at areas, especially these that are near borders, like Arua, like Chisoro, like Kabale. If they are supported, they could boost even production, and they could even boost export, looking at production of textiles.
When you say supported, what does that mean?
Supported means cutting down, making cost of doing business, reducing the power costs, reducing the cost of money, reducing the interest rates, investing in transport infrastructure. This would make it easier for them, and it would boost them. Also, it's important to mention that in this line, we want to boost production. In our manifesto, we presented our school feeding program, where the government is going to be feeding children at school. Now, the people that are going to be supplying these foodstuffs are going to be the ordinary citizens, and in the new Uganda, the government will work with the parent teachers associations, the PTA, to ensure that they identify not only the most vulnerable, but also the most trusted and competent suppliers, the eggs, the wheat, the rice, the flour, to feed the children. This way, we're going to be able to support even the small producers, the women, and the ordinary people out there. We believe that this is not only going to boost education, but it's going to help in youth unemployment. We also intend to modernize our skills development.
Your time is spent, but I'm going to allow you a minute. You have made recognition of manufacturing and tourism. These are high level